This RFG thing has been the biggest scam that this state has ever seen. Now, you go in with the governor, and what year was it, 1990? And you can't get out of it. And here we are 35 years later, and the people have spoken. We've spent, how many resolutions have we done to get us off of this thing? Northern Kentucky got off, and that's great. And Louisville, now you say Louisville's about to get off, and hopefully we will. But I just am real disappointed in the government as a whole, is the way this thing is set up. And I didn't catch your answer to the Supreme Court change. Is that going to affect this program? And I have other questions, and I'll be quick, Mr. Chairman.
I don't believe it will, in terms of what the Supreme Court answered was a very narrow question as to whether or not US EPA could regulate the greenhouse gas emissions from existing electric generating utilities under Section 111D of the Clean Air Act. So it was a very narrow question. It's one that is kind of moot, candidly.
Okay. Cane Run had coal power facilities at one time, and now it doesn't, right? Now, how could a whole smokestack operation come down, but we're still on this RFG? 'Cause how many smokestacks or coal-powered plants are there in this district that somebody created here?
So within Jefferson County, we had two coal-fired electric generating utilities. We had Cane Run, and we also have Mill Creek, which is currently still a coal-burning facility. They were required to make changes to their facility to comply with other parts of the federal Clean Air Act, in particular the mercury air toxics rule and also the sulfur dioxide National Ambient Air Quality Standard that changed in 2010. When Michael mentioned that we can get rid of RFG if we can replace those emissions with something else, those emissions that we can use to replace RFG have to be quantifiable, enforceable, permanent, and surplus, which means if they're used to satisfy another part of the Clean Air Act, we can't double count them, and they wouldn't count for getting rid of RFG.
Well, I'm talking about how can you take down an entire coal-fired power plant but still be on this? Did that not reduce the NOx and the VOx and all that?
It certainly has reduced the nitrogen oxides. And
what year was that closed, do you know?
So Cane Run converted to natural gas at the end of 2015, and then Mill Creek also did about another $1 billion worth of additional work on Mill Creek in order to meet the mercury air toxics rule and the SO2 rule. That was mid-2016.
Did we go down in attainment numbers during the COVID years, the 2 years? I mean, there were times where nobody was on the road.
We did see both I'll separate those out. From a mobile source standpoint, we did see a reduction in mobile source emissions in the very early part of 2020. But that actually rebounded by summer with the exception of some early morning transit. And then it was back up to normal levels right quickly. With respect to electric generation, one thing to keep in mind is on this graph, you'll see there that in 2013 to 2015, we went from green to orange. That represents the change in the National Ambient Air Quality Standard.
Now, who changes that?
US
Congress?
EPA.
Unelected US EPA changes it?
So the Clean Air Act requires, best way to think about the Clean Air Act is that it is a continuous improvement plan. And under it, Congress charged EPA for these 6 criteria pollutants with setting that National Ambient Air Quality Standard. And then every 5 years, Congress charged that same EPA with going back and reviewing the science to
and they
determine.
keep going lower. The standards keep going lower. So once you get into this finger mouse trap, you can never get out, right?
Well, at this point, we have a standard that went from 72 parts per billion in 2015 to 70 parts per billion. US EPA has kind of come out with their initial review of that 2015 standard to say, at this point, we're going to keep it at 70 parts per billion. And so it fluctuates, it changes, but it is based on public health. And so that is what they're aiming for, is to go ahead and continue to improve public health.
I'm almost done, Mr. Chairman. This is for you, Mr. Kennedy.
I'm actually enjoying this.
Thank you, guys.
exchange here.
Mr. Kennedy, is RFG cost more than regular gas? You had some graphs up there.
So yeah, RFG does cost more than conventional gasoline.
Do you know how much? Somebody said 32 cents average.
Well, I think in when you're looking at a refinery where they're producing it, I know it's not that much. It's more in the 6 cent range. Now, what you're getting at a retail gasoline station when you fill up, there's so many factors that go into that. I can't tell you what.
So,
what the
but it
difference is
does
there.
cost more.
It
So
does
the
cost
people
more.
in my district and Tom's and Representative Miller and Yates, they're paying more than other places in Kentucky to achieve these attainments. Yes, ma'am.
There is a difference, and Michael's right. Based on conversations with US EPA's Office of Transportation and Air Quality, it's about a 6 cent difference, 5 to 7 cents. But over the summer and, in various times of the year, we track gasoline prices to see what's going on in the marketplace. And right now, candidly, gasoline is less expensive in Louisville than in Covington, where they use conventional gas, and it has been since the start of ozone season this year. So I'm not sure what that's about, other than we can't really tell what the marketplace demand is when we look at the gas prices at the retail level.
Last question is Miss Hamilton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Hamilton?
No, I'm afraid not.
You're a scientist, and I appreciate your answers today. But here's my question, and this is no reflection on you. What can I do? What can the state of Kentucky do, Jefferson County, Louisville, what can we do to eliminate your job? The Air Pollution Control Board. How in the world can you get rid of the Air Pollution Control Board, and who does it work for? I know you ask it if it's a federal board, a state board, a quasi board, a local board. Who runs that thing,
So-
and how can we, in 3 steps or less, get rid of it?
We are a creature of Kentucky statute. We were
Well, that's
enacted
what I thought.
under KRS Chapter 77 in 1952, although the district has been improving air quality since the mid-40s. Is something they started out as a smoke commission. So in terms of how the Clean Air Act works, it is unique among the environmental media, air, water, or waste, and that it specifically calls out and gives equal footing to local programs to develop the plans in order to reduce air pollution to meet those national ambient air quality standards.
And I have a bill to dismantle that, so I did know the answer, but I have heard that there is serious ramifications if we passed a bill like that.
The district has in some respects, what the district manages in terms of the number of sources and the complexity of our airshed is really very similar to the amount of sources that the state of Wyoming regulates. It's a very small geographic area that is a manufacturing driver in terms of the sources that are there. I sometimes get asked by our economic development people why our air quality is different than Nashville. And if you can find me another jurisdiction that has 2 automotive assembly plants, had 2 coal-fired electric generating utilities, now just has 1 really large one, plus a natural gas-fired electric generating utility, Rubbertown, and the state's largest wastewater treatment plant, then I'm hoping there's another similar jurisdiction out there. But it is a unique environment to work in.
Thank you very much.